We have seen documented demonstrations of the ability with which reward-based principles can be applied to modify animal behavior ethically, reliably, and voluntarily, including with exotic animals in zoos. While clear changes in both the practices and philosophy of modern animal training procedures have occurred, there have also been two major hurdles for continued progress. One, resistance from traditional or balance trainers that regularly rely on aversive tools, and two, a lack of coherent and concise model to detail the important features of ethical animal training practices. The former problem is expected as resistance to change is a common obstacle for any proposed modification to any field. The latter, however, can create considerable problems, particularly if a proposed model to describe some philosophical approach is not simple and clear enough to convey the important and necessary information. Therefore, a critical feature for effectively describing modern animal training and behavior change procedures should be a simple framework that connects theory, science, and practice. In other words, the framework should accurately detail both how to think about and do ethical animal training. So basically they're saying, though they've found in studies, and they use the example all the time of exotic animals in zoos, that force-free training can be very effective in altering behavior, which that is absolutely not incorrect.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, you can do a lot with a force-free approach with exotic animals in zoos, right? And when you set up your studies in a very particular way, as we even described with Ivan's study, you can prove just about any point that you want.
Yeah.
Right? They are still having a hard time having people fall into line with it and follow these methods. And I think that's because people like myself and other people can recognize that, again, the flaws in the studies. Two, regarding exotic animals. I saw Ivan was on a podcast with Dr. Melanie that was on our podcast, obviously. And they were talking about exotic animals and the force-free approach with them. And Ivan was basically like, I don't care what you're doing with exotic animals, because every time you show us you drawing blood from a lion or, you know, doing a nail trim on a freaking giraffe or whatever, you're behind a fucking steel wall.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, if you want to show me how your methods are effective with those exotic animals out in the fucking savannah in Africa or whatever, he's like, yeah, I'll pay attention then, because that would be the real world of the animals, no different than how the dogs are in the real world.
Yeah.
He said, but up until that point, it is still just theory.
Yeah.
Right? It hasn't been proven in actual application then. And notice again how they only brought up those two things. There is a serious lack of that same success in the real world.
Yeah.
Because every time they say, oh, you could do it, let's see some proof of it, they lean back to studies and exotic animals in zoos. Very, very rarely do you see real life results.
Yeah. 100%.
So that's why they're having people have a hard time falling into line.